Good evening. Welcome to the Fayette County School Board Board of Trustees meeting. We're at the Administration Building. Today is May 12th. And let's stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Madam President. I do want to say just really quickly, for the interest of time, we have a pretty busy meeting this evening. We will not be taking any public comment this evening on items that are not on the agenda, and so I think that's what you had decided as
Yes.
President.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Our first presentation, Ms. Flum.
Good evening. I have with me tonight our project-based learning teachers for our cohort. We have selected some middle school students last year coming in as freshmen and provided them an alternative way to earn some credits through some project-based learning. So I'm going to turn it over to Bobby Reveley, Mia Nickel, and Krista Reese, our PBL teachers.
Awesome.
Where's the best place for us to stand?
There's
Right
here?
All three of me.
Okay. Is this how I click for? Okay, I see it. Okay, so my name is Mia Nickel. I teach English classes at the high school.
I'm Krista Reese, and I teach algebra right now at the high school.
And I'm Bobby Robley. I teach construction at the high school.
And we were selected by Ms. Flum and other people involved in this program to pilot this project-based learning cohort for about a dozen students. It started off that way, who have shown that they are maybe a little bit at risk for potentially leaving school, not doing well. They've had attendance issues, they've had behavior issues, they've had just a disconnect with education in general. So they tasked us with coming up with a way to combine a curriculum of sorts that includes math, English, and construction elements to present to these kids and try to keep it relevant to things that they might need to do later on in life. So, thank you. We have figured out that quite a few things have worked. Obviously this is new, so we're still learning along with the kids. We didn't want them to come in and here's your assigned seat, you sit here. Let's see what happens when you sit where you want to sit. And really, it's worked out. It's worked out fine. Yeah. I mean, occasionally they'll start talking too much. I'm like, all right, let's sit around here until we get regrouped and get back on task. We're fine with food and drinks in the classroom as long as they clean it up, which they're really good about that. They come to my classroom after breakfast. They have the second chance breakfast at the high school. And
They almost always eat it.
yes, they all have it, and then they clean it up. They're really good. Like it hasn't been an issue at all. We also give them extra time. The hard deadlines do not work for these kids. They need a little bit of leeway to work at their own pace. And once they got comfortable with us, they have a lot of questions. So we can address those as we're working rather than sending them off, here's a worksheet, go do it, and yeah.
We ended up with a good group of 8, and attendance has been rough at times, but if you compare it to previous years, the numbers are way higher.
Yes.
I think we lucked out. They all get along really well, which makes it easier. We encourage group work. We did have one individual that she really didn't want to do group work, and so we adjusted for that. We gave her let her work on her projects individually at times. But these kids, like, I don't know, once you get to know them, like, when you see the light bulb come on and they realize that they can do math, like, they're like, I've never had algebra. I have one kid that said, I haven't had grades since 4th grade, Miss Reese, because he's either an ISS or has been expelled. And just the way he lights up over having grades at all, you know, just, and he's been at school, like, consistently, like, he actually, the first semester was suspended. He was on a contract and he unfortunately didn't get to stay. They let him come back second semester, and at first it was rocky, but this last couple months, I mean, he's been at school way more than he ever has.
Yes.
And he's actually gonna pass, I believe, with 4 credits, so.
Yeah, these kids, he's one of the first ones to put his phone away, which he has been a behavior issue in the past, but when he comes to my classroom, he puts the phone up, sits at his desk, doesn't, you know, obviously it's gonna be different next year with everything that we're changing with phones, but it didn't start out that way at all. I mean, there was some pushback there, but I think that speaks to the culture of respect that we've built with these kids. They do love rewards. We just played Jeopardy for a review for the final, and you can create a Jeopardy board online. And so I went the top 2. I went and got them snacks and drinks at the gas station. What they want. I said no energy drinks. I can't do that, but
Yeah. Yes, that works well.
yes. And then they see Krista and I. Bobby's class. I have a class during that time, so I can't go down to the construction room. But they see us working together, and they like that. They like having their teachers collaborating.
And I can go with them to English and I can go with them to construction. I have that flexibility. So I have them 2 periods. I have them for algebra and what we're calling math lab right now. Eventually I'd love, once I'm licensed probably, for it to be biology or some kind of science. That's actually my background. I do put a lot of science into the projects. And they are getting a credit. I've been able to be a little creative when it comes to that. But one of the projects we did is build a species-specific birdhouse and have it installed on CHS property so we can go out and observe, did the bird that we wanted to be in the house, right? And then be able to write a research paper about it. And I'm very thrilled that our bird houses are actually out there, and we have gone out there 11 times now. We're going to go out 2 more times this week, and then Mia's going to help, and we're going to work together trying to get them to crunch the data and at least have something to, you know, report at the end. We've not seen many birds, but we've found lots of things we would change, you know, which that's what happens with science and most things. And what I love is they're like, well, maybe next year, Miss Reese, we can build a bird blind, or we need a bird bath. And I mean, and their brains are just like, they get so into it. And honestly, the only time I have a problem with them is if they're bored. Mm-hmm. It's keeping them busy.
Yes.
They want to stay busy. If they're bored, that's when they start acting up or wanting to be on their phones, stuff like that.
You do have to calibrate a lot with them. With that freedom that I talked about with the class, where they sit, going to the restroom has been a challenge because they like to take a little journey around the school. So we just take a trip to the restroom at the beginning of class, and at first they were like, they didn't like it at all. And I was like, guys, you're missing out on 10, 15 minutes because you're just, you know, doing a little walkabout, and we need to maximize our time together. So now it's kind of a joke, like, we gotta go to the potty, guys, you know, and they're fine with it. So again, once we build that rapport with them, they understand why we're doing it. It's not meant to be patronizing or anything like that. It's like, no, we just got to make sure that you guys are all together and working together.
Yeah,
So.
and they would show up late to Mia's class and was like, well, I'm gonna start walking you to class then. They're like, no, you know,
And
they don't want to be seen with me during classroom period. I'm like, well, then you better be on time.
Yep. Okay. You can go on.
Yeah.
All right. These were some of the challenges that we had and how we overcame them. They do have a history of behavioral and academic challenges. So they don't trust teachers, honestly. They, associate teachers, authority in general, with they're just here to get me in trouble. And yes, they did make decisions at times that were not the wisest.
I think we've changed that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think so.
they really-
I hope so.
Yes. I accidentally copied two things on the same thing for attendance and support. Whoops. Yes, attendance, that's an issue across the board. I mean, that's not limited to ninth graders in this cohort. That's become a challenge for every school corporation in the country right now. So shifting the narrative is what we've really focused on. And I think we have replaced the idea of being in a classroom as being negative with a positive thing.
I think so.
They don't love everything.
No, and the goal is to get them excited about whatever project you're working on, so they want to come to school. They don't, if they're working in groups, they don't want to let the other person down if they're expected to be there to help them build the birdhouse or the doghouse or the racetrack, whatever we happen to be building at the time.
And, I mean, Bobby's seen several of them show leadership, emerge as leaders, whereas they might not have wanted to do that in a class with other kids who perform well academically in a normal setting. So. This was just a little bit about our background. You can talk about it if you want.
So over the summer, the school corporation paid for me to take a seminar. It was online. It was awesome. It taught me about PBL and how to set up a project. And so they had us do a project. They started right from the get-go teaching us how to do it by doing it. And so there are 7 things they want in every project. I think one of the most important is being authentic. So the first project I tried was planning a school trip. Okay, but I couldn't say at the end, whoever has the best, we're going on this trip. So if I could have said that, it would have been more authentic, And so I found, through that first project, I found ways that I could have changed things and I could have done things better. And I'm learning constantly. Mia's helped me a lot with the scaffolding. So I would put too big of one of the things is giving them choice, voice and choice. And sometimes I give them too much choice and I don't get anything back, and they just kind of look at me and I'm like, guys, what's going on? They're like, Ms. Reese, we really don't know what you're asking of us. And they have opened my mind to a lot of things that I did not realize they were struggling with. And Mia has taught the 7th grade level, and by going to her class, I would see how she would set up her class and how she would just step by step and how they would just go along and do everything she asked them to do, And so she's helped me a lot with that. But that seminar was really helpful. I would love to do more, educating in that field. It's huge. Actually, it's bigger than what I imagined. I was in a class with 37 other people from 12 different states. And I think it can be a very good program. It's just going to take, trying it and keep working through it. Bobby?
You're back.
You're up.
Good evening. I took care of the construction part of the project-based learning. So we kind of took them through the process of building a house just on a much smaller scale. We stepped outside and used transit levels to measure the slope of the ground, and then we squared buildings using building lines. We went inside and built floors on dog houses, then we built walls, then we did a roofing system, and then we roofed it. We did the birdhouses, and then plumbed them into the ground around the SLC building and football field. And then our final project that we're wrapping up this week would be kind of like the interior work. We're building some wall shelves, so our measurements got to be a little tighter, a little closer tolerances. And it's went over really well. And I think the big difference is in using this model of project-based learning, you get to see education work. It's not just, we learn it in a classroom, we take the test, and then halfway down the hallway, it's in one side and out the other. In this case, we learn it and then we go apply it. So they're applying some math skills during the process, learning how to read a tape measure. By the way, everybody hates fractions, it's okay. It's across the board. So I think that made a big difference for these kids. And they're using their hands as well as their minds.
And then, you know, I do have a background with kids who are maybe, you know, they're 2 years younger, but as far as maturity level goes, not that far off. Kirsten, you're shaking your head. Not a huge difference maturity-wise from 7th to 9th grade, especially when kids do come with challenges like these students have. I also used what I taught at the elementary art level to, like we constructed a cube out of cardboard and then made paper mache with it. And that kind of got them ready for the idea of assembling something other than, you know, cardboard and paper. But we painted it and
And put questions on it.
they had to write the questions properly, you know. Once you start doing this, you're like, oh, we could do this, and then we could do this, we could do this, and then it's like almost too much stuff. Like, all right, we gotta slow down. This I think is a really good representation of what PBL has done for these kids. The grades that are in blue were their 7th grade English grades, and you can see we've got ones down at 22. There were a couple who were passing fairly well. Orange was 8th grade English. So again, there was one who has been consistent, the kid at the top, he's been consistent across the board with his grades. He is very, very quiet, very shy. Has another student actually talk for him, almost like they're twins. But the rest of them you can see dropped a lot. The orange from the blue, for some reason, I don't know what happened in 8th grade, but they lost the plot, figuratively and literally speaking. Pink is this year. This was the grade as of a week ago for the semester for them. Obviously, you can see it's not perfect. We would love for all of them to have the 94s, the 82s. But for the most part, every single thing has been improved. I mean, CW, if you see down at the bottom, he loves to write, and he's very creative. And he's probably the most fashion conscious and stuff.
He's
Like
the most outspoken.
Yes.
And I don't think he was that way in his classes before.
No. And he's got a ton of personality. He expresses himself in music and how he dresses. And he went from a 22 to an 82. And it's not like I'm feeding these kids the answers. They're figuring it out. And then we can go on to the math grades. Unfortunately, I don't really have anything to compare Bobby's class to because we don't have that anymore. Same thing with Krista's kids. 7th, 8th, and 9th comparison here. Let's see. All of them have, you know, the pink is 9th grade. That's what we're doing right now. And it's huge compared to 7th and 8th grade. So NB up there, the second one down, he was fine, showing that he could definitely do the work in math in 7th grade. And then lost interest in 8th grade and brought it back. Which is just really cool to see. When you see it visually like this, we can tell you all the time, but if you see here, it's working. Obviously, we have to address the issues that have come from the students that we have here. The absenteeism is huge, unfortunately. It does affect the group-based aspect of this class, because if they're absent, oh, we can't do this because Steve's not here or Ralph's not
It's
here.
not stuff you can make up. It's
Right.
all hands-on.
Right.
So it's hard to make up if they miss.
Yes, and the progress gets stalled, and then you have to go back, and, well, he wasn't here, so let me get you caught up on that.
I
This,
think it's gotten better though.
yes, our attendance definitely has gotten better. And we are currently part of the Bridge team, which was formed to help solve the issues of withdrawals, absences, disinterest in school as a whole. So, you know, those issues are being addressed, and, you know, will hopefully trickle down to our classes as well. So, and
School fun.
yeah, and some of this is not, the kids aren't skipping, they're not leaving school, and walking out, they don't have a ride, the ride doesn't show up, you know.
Yeah.
Even one of them has a job that, you know, he's like,
I worked too hard the night before.
yes, yes. So those are all issues that have, you know, we've come up against this year, so. What we would like to propose for the subsequent years is, rather than just placing these kids and being like, here, now you are a PBL student, go have fun. This would be more of an intake situation. So on the top here, we have the student success contract, and that goes through and says in plain English, what we expect of students. We want them to have their materials. We want them to be at school. We want them to participate to the best of their ability. Treating their peers and teachers with respect, which we have not had that issue, but you know, obviously got to put it in there. And then a probationary period. Being in the program may not be for them. So within a couple of weeks, we see, no, this isn't fitting together. This is just a rough draft. This isn't necessarily what will go out. The second page is Bobby and Krista and I would like to at least have eyes on a student and say, and have a quick interview with them. You know, just go to the middle school for half a day and talk to these kids and say, you know, why do you think you had a tough 8th grade year? And see where the accountability is. See where their personalities are. See how they interact with other kids. We also have personality tests. I think we all took it in the corporation, like, I work well in a group, yes or no, or whatever. And it kind of gives you an idea of what these kids are capable of in a group setting. And also interviewing their teachers and saying, hey, you know, have these kids been disrespectful in class? You know, how did you handle it? And so on.
I think the teachers out of everyone would know if the student would do well in
Yes,
in
yes.
a program, in a different program.
Yeah, so we would like to be able to work with their 8th grade teachers and also speak with them and say, hey, I think this kid's a great fit. This one's not. I actually retooled the program for selection for ES English at Centerville. Kids coming in from the honors program, they have it still at the elementary level. And then they were just automatically putting them in junior high, and they weren't ready. So I worked with other teachers in the corporation to get some sort of intake like this to where we were identifying, are these kids the right fit for a 7th grade program? So, and then the personality mix at the bottom. We have the quiet strugglers, we have the leaders, and then we have ones that do have high needs that might be a behavior issue and this and that. But this is what the balance would look like. So.
I'd just like to add one thing real quick. During the course of building the dog houses, that wasn't just this class. I do a couple other classes that do the same project. We ended the year with 11. At the end, when we're done, I sell some of them, I donate some of them, students buy them. They're all gone now, so we have the shop area back, thank God. The first one was donated to the Sheriff's Department here locally for a new K-9 unit. I had the deputy come in, open the door, and I said, pick. And he walked around and looked at every one of them. And I'm tickled to death that the number one that got donated was your PBL students. And I think that says, it's a pretty remarkable, successful story right there. And no leading questions, take this one. It was, yeah, I like this one, this looks good. And I shared that with the class and they seemed to be pretty proud. So I think that was a pretty good ending or a closure to how well they did.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm really proud of you guys. So how this came to fruition essentially is we've had a lot of conversation about SLC, the programming there. SLC essentially is our alternative placement for students who struggle in a general education classroom. SLC, for all intents and purposes, looked a lot like the regular classroom, just in a different place, right? So we talked a lot about like how do we make school different, right, for kids who just struggle in a traditional environment. So we went, actually Krista was with us, we went over and visited what was called a P-TECH program. PCAP is the parent program, it's through Purdue University, and our friends at CEL who do our early college work, and they have this project-based learning model. So we've taken that essentially and not necessarily cookie cutter, but made our own thing that is very similar, so that school looks different for these kids that struggle in a regular classroom. And so that's essentially what it is. We're teaching kids the content of reading, language arts, and such within the context of project-based learning, which is awesome. And so I just want to commend you guys on your hard work for building this thing from the ground up. We have a lot of work to do to get to where we want to be. We're not there yet, but certainly have made a lot of progress. So,
Are they all, so your classes that you have, like your math or your English or construction, is it just PBL kids in there?
Yes.
Or are there other students in there
It's
with
just
them?
Just PBL for that section, yeah.
Yes.
And then where do those kids go after they take your 3 classes? Are they enrolled in the rest of the high school?
Yeah, some of them,
Do you want to
yes.
answer that?
Yeah, so they have other electives they may take, some could be band, art classes, choir.
Not part of PBL though?
Not part of PBL, so PBL was just these 3 classes this year, and then they have another full schedule for the rest of their day.
And do they react to that because the PBL environment is so suited to them that then they're thrust into a regular
We
classroom?
have not had any issues with any student in any other setting. I think this starts their day in the morning, and so we're settled in.
And several of them have those classes together, so that helps.
And I've had several students ask me, what's next year? Do we get to be with you again next Reese? Do we get to be in project-based learning? I had one student tell me 2 days ago, I almost had him talked into coming tonight. And he's like, you got that meeting, right? And I said, yeah. I said, it'd be really cool if you were there. And he's like, man, he said, I really think PBL has helped me. He's like, I've become such a better student. And it's just like, oh my God.
He wrote about that in his reflection about, he said, I'm seeing grades on in my power school that aren't just Fs. I was like, yeah.
But they won't be in PBL next year?
We're working through some of the, part of that is the challenge of licensing, right? So not everybody can teach every grade level and every subject depending.
Oh,
So that's
right,
something
of
we're
course.
actually meeting Monday to talk through logistics to see what we can do.
you guys are
It's
awesome.
a perfect example. If you can reach a kid, you can teach a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Because basically, we're meeting them where they are and not trying to pigeonhole them. And I can tell you why they mess up in 8th grade, because they become too cool in 8th grade. That's a lot of the problem.
Yeah.
And it's a very, 7th and 8th graders, terribly different environments. It just kind of depends on where the child is, but girls, boys in 8th grade, and sometimes girls in 7th grade, just where they are in a maturity thing. But this is fantastic that you can get, and it changes the whole culture, the whole idea of going to school. Going to school is not a chore. It's not something that, my God, I got to do this till I'm 18, and what am I going to do? But it gives, hopefully we will see as they integrate more into perhaps a more traditional type school environment, that they'll go in with a better attitude. Well, they'll go in with some success.
Yes.
They will know walking into the classroom, because kids know when they walk in a classroom, I'm the dumbest kid here, and that's very daunting as an educator to try to convince them otherwise. And
Yeah.
clearly your
Yes.
program is doing a fantastic job. That is so cool.
Thank you guys. We're proud of
Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, we have our Grandview principal, Ms. McCann.
Do you take this?
She can borrow this.
Okay.
So, all my teachers, sponsors, children, come on up. So we are focusing on some philanthropy. So we're really excited as we look at the Portrait of a Graduate that it is powerful to start addressing the whole child. So we wanted to highlight some of the things that we're doing that is addressing the whole child. I screw this up every time. Like my goal for next year, Kim put it on my evaluation, is to learn how to run PowerPoint.
Okay.
You are not the only one, Stephanie. I think every single person that stands at that podium has
That's the same problem.
Every year. So opportunities to make a difference. So we're going to just focus on four things that we have going on that just, our goal is to make a difference in the world, right? Like from our very small slice of the pie. So we're going to start off with Emily for All for Books Coin Challenge.
Good evening. Thank you for an opportunity to talk about this for the second time. I have spoken with the board before about our coin challenge. It was at the Grandview Library a few years ago. So this feels a little foreign to me, but you'll just bear with me. Our All for Books Coin Challenge started as just a suggestion from Scholastic, which is the company that we do book fair through. It was like a tips and tricks to help kind of get your book fair promoted and get the kids excited about it. The challenge takes place the week before book fair, and students bring in pennies on Monday, nickels on Tuesday, dimes on Wednesday, and then it just builds. From 2017 to 2019, our goal was $300, and we used that to, throughout the week of book fair, we would randomly draw students' names from a cup, and then we would call them down. They got to pick out a book for free from the book fair, and their teacher got to come with them and also pick out a book for free from the book fair. When COVID hit, we were not able to do a book fair in 2020 or in 2021. So when the fair was approaching in 2022, I shared a post on Facebook just to kind of remind everyone, hey, book fair's back, like let's go big, let's have a lot of fun. And I posted information about the coin challenge on Facebook, and my wonderful sister Audra, who used to go to Grandview, said, hey, I will match whatever my daughter's class brings in, the total at the end of the week. And before I knew it, I had someone offering to match every class, as well as outside donors seeing that, oh, well, hey, you know, I would love to donate some money towards this. So then at the end of that week, I knew that we were actually going to be able to buy a book for every student at the book fair, not just drawing names for a few, and then as well as giving the teachers a budget to shop too. So that has been the new goal ever since, is we're going to get everyone a book at the book fair with our coin challenge money. This is just the last 3 years' numbers. So in 2024, the coin challenge, our students alone brought in over $2,500, and then with matches from donors in the community and businesses and lots of Grandview alumni that I am personally friends or family members with that love being able to support their elementary alma mater, if you can call it that, at the elementary level, I'm not sure. So in 2024, we were able to bring in over $5,000, which meant that every kid got a book at the book fair. Then after we ran those totals, the remainder was split up amongst all the teachers. That resulted in our largest book fair to date that year at almost $10,000. And then in 2025, the students alone, and every year I'm like, there's no way the students are going to bring in more money than they did last year. This is just change. This is amazing. And they did. They brought in over $3,000 last year.
Somewhere in there, we bought a coin counting machine. because
Yes,
we thought
finally.
she was-
we did invest in a coin counter. And so then we, with matches and donors, we ended up doing almost $6,000 for the coin challenge, which then resulted in a book fair of almost $12,000. And then we just wrapped up our last book fair. The students brought in almost $3,500. It was a lot this year. I just love seeing everyone still so excited about it. I mean, we do offer them free, an extra recess and that, but they are also excited, and a chance to beat Mr. Crow, which is the driving force for most of the students. And he did get dethroned this year by Mrs. Day's class. But the students alone brought in almost $3,500, and then with matches and donations, we brought in over almost $6,400, resulting in, again, our biggest book fair yet, which was over $12,000 this year. So the money that we raise from the coin challenge, every single penny of it gets spent on either the students getting a book and then the teachers getting a book. So I keep track of all the receipts, I add up the totals, and then I try to do the math the best I can. I am numbered out by the end of the coin challenge and the book fair. And my job, I'm not supposed to deal with numbers, what I do. And then we divvy up the remainder amongst all the teachers. So general ed and special ed teachers, I think this year they got $150 each to spend in the classroom. And then because we're spending all that money at book fair, we get to use the profit from book fair sales as well. We can choose to have Scholastic Dollars, which we use to stock our book vending machine. We have a nice little budget in there. When new teachers come in, if they're coming in without a classroom library, we can say, hey, here's $200, you can shop online to kind of build your classroom library. And then also, depending on where the need is, we might use some of the profit from book fair for like student activities accounts, which pay for celebrations and stuff throughout the school year. So
So when you say the scholastics, like you had the figures of what the kids and the donors bring in, and then the next column, those are additional dollars that when
Yes.
the book fair goes on,
Yeah.
kids,
Yep,
families
kids,
are buying more.
we always try to coincide with a family night, so we know we're bringing more people
Okay.
in. We open the book fair to before and after school. We even have some homeschool students that will come. We kind of spread the word, and we invite some homeschool families that we just know between connections at the school. They'll get to come in and shop at the book fair. I have middle school students that come back and volunteer at the book fair, and they'll always be like, they'll bring like $5 to buy a bookmark or a pen from the book fair because, after elementary school, they do have a book fair at the middle school, but it's not, as big as it is at the elementary level. So yes, that last row is in addition, so almost double what we bring in for the coin challenge also gets spent by our family and students.
That's awesome.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Panky, can you change the world with $20? Come on up. So this challenge is we're trying to see what sticks. So I sent this to Abby and I was like, hey, look at this. And then she was like, hey, I'll try this with my sample students.
So I help out with student council, and so I have two student council friends here, one that was Kate and Mr. Luke. And so I pulled some of our sixth graders and I gave them the idea of if I give you $20 and I just ask you to do something kind in the world, what would you do? And so we met, we talked about some different ideas that we could do. They had to make a plan. They had to do some researching. Me and Mrs. McCann sat with them and had the Walmart app open to do some shopping and figure out prices for things. We had to actually go shopping, so you can see a picture. We were able to get the Spartan bus and take some of our friends to Walmart to do some shopping. We had some fun with that, didn't we, Mr. Luke? And then they had to do some creating based off of whatever their project was that they decided, and then some distribution. So, I messed it up. Okay. So these are some of the ideas that our kiddos decided to do. One friend has a little sister in second grade, and he asked if he could go to second grade and read a story to them and then make bookmarks with every student in the class. We had a kiddo who reached out to the special classroom teachers and said, they don't get school supplies at the beginning of the year like classrooms do. And so they asked what supplies they might need. We have one awesome friend over here. You want to tell them what you're working on?
I crocheted these coasters for all the staff members of Grants.
Green, yellow, and white.
They
Yeah,
are amazing.
So cute. Yeah.
How many have you made since Friday?
39.
Since Friday?
Yeah.
Wow.
He made
That's
some last week in my
industrious.
room, and I just sat and watched him. I'm like, this is amazing. I don't know how you're
Did you
doing it,
bring
but it's
any with
wonderful.
you?
No.
have to send a picture.
Can you send pictures?
Yes, they are amazing.
Yes.
So we have that. One of our students this is a prize to admin, so Mrs. Phillips, you don't know this. But one of our students made handmade candles last week. We got creative and we had to figure out, I've never made a candle before, but we made 6 of them. And we're giving those to the elementary principals. Some of our friends put their money together. So each student got $20. They said, well, what if we put them together and now we have $40 and we can do a little bit more spending. So they reached out to Mrs. Cameron at Little Spartans and asked her what they needed for the food pantry, and so they did some shopping there. We had one kiddo reach out to Hickory Creek Nursing Home across the street on Grand and ask what they needed, and they are putting up a little bird garden with bird houses. And so we bought a couple bird houses and took those over there, and they're making a plaque with the student's name on it and putting them on the bird houses. And then, what is your plan?
At first I was going to buy some like food and stuff because I was going to donate to the animal shelter. But then Miss Pinky was telling me and Kaylee, who was another person who was going to donate to the animal shelter, that
We had some very specific food that we wanted to buy for the animals, and we weren't sure what types of food the animals would need.
So she thought that it would be easier for us to just donate the money instead of buying.
And Miss Peyton and another student put their money together too, so they could do a larger donation. And here's just a few of the pictures of some of the kiddos with their projects.
Lots of fun. Thank you.
Wow, that's great.
So cool. I know, Sharon. I'm trying.
She's consistent.
Okay, yeah. All right, so birthday cake club, this one is mine. So when I was in the classroom, writing was my favorite thing to teach. So again, found this idea online. It's not an original idea, but it's a birthday cake kit for students. And what it is it's all shelf stable. So I drafted some 6th grade students from their teachers saying, hey, who are your best writers? So I got to pull these kids. We met at the end of the day. We had some discussions on what was happening, and then we did business brainstorming. They created a list of businesses. We had lessons in persuasive writing. We draft, revise, they would share documents, we'd give feedback. It was so much fun. It's like being back in the classroom. We had to learn how to address and stuff envelopes. That was one of our big lessons. Luke got a crash course and created an Excel sheet for our donations that are coming in, and then we will have a thank you campaign at the end. So I brought a sample. So this is what it looks like. This is our first original, so you'll see that it's shelf stable. So it's everything a kid would need to have a birthday cake. Next year, Grandview's goal is to have every student on their birthday leave with a birthday cake kit. So it has everything for a birthday, including candles and balloons. So we want every student to have that. So we sent businesses letters all around the community. We've got our first, actually Mr. Duncan was our first monetary donation. We got Union Savings and Loan sent us. Union Savings and Loan sent us our first check this week for $200. I've heard from Roots. I've heard from all of the big factories in town saying, hey, we're having drives. So each letter was drafted for something very specific, like Sprite or balloons. So we sent those out this way. And so I have some friends who are part of the Birthday Cake Club who are going to read you their letters.
Oh, awesome.
Okay. Nice amount. Yep, the whole thing. Yep.
Okay. To whom it may concern, I am a 6th grade student at Grandview Elementary. We are going to be making birthday cake kits for all the kids in school. We will be making 300 birthday cake kits. We are making these kits so that every kid at Grandview can have a birthday cake. This is also our last year at Grandview, and we wanted to make a difference for our future Wildcats. If you would like to donate, you can. We are looking for cake icing, but you can also donate and check our money. You can drop off the donation at 2620 Iowa Avenue, Connersville, Indiana. If you have questions or need pickup assistance, please call our school principal, Ms. McCann, at 825-2981 or email her.
Okay.
Very well.
All right.
Great job.
To whom it may concern, I am a student at Grandview Elementary School. I am writing this letter to ask you for a donation of balloons or a check for our birthday cake campaign. Being able to fundraise this cake campaign gives every student a birthday kit on their birthday. This makes all students feel special and celebrated on their birthday. Please keep in mind that we will have to make 300 cakes. If you are interested in donating to this cause, please send a check to Grandview Elementary School at 2620 Iowa Avenue in Connersville, Indiana. Or if you need assistance with pickup, please email our principal, Mrs. Stephanie McCann, or call her at 765-825-2981. Thank you for your support in making our school a better place. Sincerely, the Birthday Cake Club.
Well done, really good.
Good job.
To whom it may concern, as a proud student of Grandview Elementary's Birthday Cake Club, I am writing to ask for your support for a new project. We would like to provide birthday cake making kits for the entire student body for 2026-2027. Not every student is able to receive a birthday cake on their special day. However, having these kits would make everyone feel noticed and special. We will make 300 birthday cakes. Specifically, we need cake mix, but if you would like to make a cash donation, please send a check to Grandview Elementary School, 2602 Iowa Avenue, Connersville, IN 47331. Any amount is appreciated. If you have any questions or pickup concerns, please feel free to contact our principal, Mrs. McCann, at 76825-2981 or email her. Thank you for considering this letter and your support in making all kids feel special.
You see why I donated?
I feel like we all need to do that right now.
To whom it may concern, I am a student at Grandview Elementary School. I am writing to ask if you would help us make a donation of birthday candles or money so we can buy birthday cake supplies. We are doing a birthday cake campaign so all the kids at Grandview Elementary can feel important and special on their birthday. We have to make 300 birthday cake kits for the 2026-2027 school year. If you would like to make a donation, please send a check or birthday candles to 2620 Iowa Avenue, Connersville, Indiana 47331. If you have any questions or need pickup assistance, please call our principal, Stephanie McCann, at 765-825-2981 or email her at
You don't have to read my email.
Thank you for your contributions and in supporting our school's mission of making every kid feel special on their birthday. Sincerely, the Birthday Cake Club.
Great.
So we are starting to get donations in, so we talked a lot about legacy and like leaving a legacy behind. So our next steps is today, actually, we met this morning and they created an application. Well, first they listed the attributes they thought that people in this club should have. And then their job was to create a question that would help people explain that they had that attribute. So they created an application for 5th grade. And so next week, this group of students will sit down with 5th graders who apply, and they get to run the interviews. So they're going to be interviewing 5th graders to select the next round of the birthday club. So it's something we want to continue. So these guys are going to be in charge of selecting their follow-ups. Yeah, so we're super excited about that. So it's going to go full scale for us.
Yay.
Good job. That's awesome.
Thank
Stephanie,
you.
do you have anything, having worked with food insecurity here, some people just simply do not have a way to bake cake.
Sure, yeah.
And so is there going to be something, there's ovens at schools, I know that.
Well, sure. Mhm.
So that would be an option for a child that did not have the ability to bake a cake at their house, to be able to do it there at school?
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime we always meet like that, we work with even local churches and help people get their ovens repaired. Like we've done that in the past. So it's whatever it has to happen.
Because a lot
to
of
make
them only have microwaves.
Sure. And then on the back is also the directions for how to, like it says, go wild on your birthday. So it's our stuff, and then we have the directions for the non-perishables.
That's great.
That's
Yeah,
great.
so fun. Yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
So our last one, we have our kindergarten crew.
Thanks, guys.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right, I am Carly Leach. I teach kindergarten at Grandview, and Grandview Kindergarten is lucky enough to partner with Hickory Creek Nursing Home across the street. So for 6 years now, they have ran a program called Adopt a Grandparent Program. So we take the kindergartners over once a month And we do activities involving the students and the residents all year long, every month. So these activities are paired with things we're doing in the classroom. Anywhere from holidays, we've done Read Across America things. We work together to do things that match up with things we're doing in the classroom. There are many benefits for the students and the residents. This gives everyone something to look forward to. They're always right in the lobby waiting, cheering us on when we get there. Every Friday, my kids want it to be the first Friday of the month so we can go to the nursing home. This provides so many social interactions for the students and the residents. When we're in the class together all day, they tend to talk to each other, but getting out and talking to 20 other people is great for them. Real life experiences and relationship skills too. So we do lots of talking at the beginning, how they may look different, how the nursing home is their home, like we have our homes, they live there. They may sound different, they may eat different. They love it. So they know going in that what to expect, how it's okay that everyone's different, that they're not our real grandparent, but they're our school grandparent. So it's just really fun for all of the kids. Here are some of the things we've done this year. We just had our circus every May. It's kind of like the end of the year hoorah. We had snow cones, we had tattoos, face painting, we had some clowns, and the residents are fully involved in this. They help all month prep the stuff, so they're cutting, they're laminating, they are getting everything ready for their grandchild. Read Across America week, we took our book bags over and each student read to their grandparent. If they couldn't read, their grandparent read to them. And then we did a Dr. Seuss craft. Easter, they had the Easter Bunny over there, so some kids in our community don't get to see the Easter Bunny, they don't get to see Santa. They always get to do that at the nursing home. So there was another slide too of someone that had recently just posted a picture of their kiddo from 2018. And she said, can anyone help me identify this family? This is my son's adopted grandparent from Grandview Adopted Grandparent Program in 2018. And we're just wondering, how he's doing, where he's at, and if it would be possible to go and visit him. So she said, he's in middle school now, and he has held on to this picture since kindergarten. And then she said, update, we have found Jerry, and we have a time set up to go and visit him at the nursing home. So he has went, like I said, he's in middle school now, and that was in 2018, and he has went and seen Jerry. We always do their picture together, so we laminate it, send it home, they sign it. And I've had multiple families asking, can we go visit them on our own time? We'd like to meet them too because our kiddo tells us so much about them. It's just so great for the residents, for the kiddos, and for the families. So we love getting to go there every month.
That's so cool.
That's awesome. So that's it. We just wanted to highlight our power of the paw as we try to make a difference from our own little slice. Any questions about anything? That's awesome. Thank you guys so much.
I just want to say thank you to you and your staff for the work that you do. You guys do incredible things for kids, not just academically, but in so many other ways. And so I just want to say thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you guys are incredible.
Great team behind me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to our next presenter, Fayette Central's principal, Ms. Phillips.
What a great way, what great way to follow. And I know you're going to hear A through F accountability later, but we're going to continue with the whole child. I'm going to present Ms. Olivia Strewing. She's a 2025 graduate of CHS, and she brought a new club to us this year with Fayette Central with Fellowship of Christian Athletes. So I'm going to let Olivia tell you about that.
It's so sensitive.
It's very sensitive.
You can do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, hello. I am Olivia. I am Miss Olistowith. I'm a 2025 CHS graduate, and I had the privilege of being the success coach at my home elementary school this year, being Fayette Central. And my senior year of high school, I joined the Fellowship of Christian Athletes Club. So that was very different for me. That was out of my comfort zone, but I also became a leader that year. So I would bring the message and the topic and our activities to some of our meetings, and it was really cool being able to talk about my faith at school.
because you typically don't, but at FCA you could, and we could learn more about our faith, and it wasn't very big, but it was a really good experience for me. So I wanted to bring it to Fayette Central, and so this year, this year was our first year of FCA at Fayette Central. We had 13 members, and Ms. Pfeiffer being a leader, as well as myself being a leader. And at our meetings, we talk about biblical qualities and characteristics that we read from Bible passages and stories, and how we can apply those to our lives, and how we can be more like Jesus in our school and sports and all their activities that they do. So our two main projects this year, one being the kindness cards. So our FCA members organized kindness cards that was able to involve the whole school, writing cards, and every student wrote one and every student received one. And it was cool to have everyone involved and just being an encouragement for February being Kindness Month. But their favorite project was our Easter basket. So a couple weeks before Easter, we put together nearly 40 Easter baskets full of Jesus goodies, and we donated them to the Department of Child Services, which they then distributed them to children in need within our community. So that definitely was their favorite part, and they knew how special it was to be able to do that. Our kids helping other kids. So FCA was really fun, and I'm excited for next year.
Thank you. Our next, I'll let you just click it, is our cross-cat room. So we're in year 2, Miss Morris. Come on up. She does not like to be in front of people, I'll just forewarn you, but she's going to come up. We're in year 2 of cross-cat, and we're really excited to celebrate our accomplishments. As you know, we started a couple years ago with kids who just can't make it in the gen ed classroom. We need an alternate setting for those students, and this is for all of Fayette County schools at grades K through 4. With the district leadership from our special ed team, we created a room that we thought was step block, it's going to follow these directions, and then we met our kids. And we realized that we needed to adjust and adapt to every kid that we met. And this year we were blessed, keep going, to go to UCARU training. And so one thing that we learned is the kids need de-escalation in a non-physical way. So physical touch can sometimes trigger kids. So we went to some trainings, and we are now trainers that can help the entire district with de-escalation skills and using the blocking method with the pads. And so this is something really exciting that we can bring to all schools, and hopefully it will grow into our life skills program maybe next. But we don't know where we're going with that, but we do know that she's going to start talking because we are going to train other teachers. But let's just talk about, I don't want to go into too deep of data, but I want to talk about the successes of what CrossCat looks like. And we have year 1 of our students, and just you can read through the data of those, in year 2 of the just the student data of growth, academic, and behavior modifications. I think the biggest thing though is that these kids, we have two that are getting ready to go back to their home school. And so what that means is they come with us with all different opportunities. Some of the kids stay full day in CrossCat, some stay half day CrossCat, half day push into general ed, and then eventually the goal is to be independent in general education setting with all of your behavior modifications and academic supports, so then you can eventually go back to your home school. So we have 2 kids that since January have been out of CrossCat, have been in the gen ed setting and supported by our special ed teachers. And so that's a huge accomplishment in just a little over, well, one student has only been with us for 1 year and the other one has been with us for 2 years. So the other big, if you'll hit it again, I think, we have had, it was on the last slide, 6 out of 8 students who have had no more than 10 suspensions for the entire year. These kids came with us with expulsions and multiple suspensions. And so that is a huge compliment to Nicole and her team. We've also had, what, do you want to say anything? No. We've also had great academic support, so she might not want to recognize the work her and her team do, but it's not just about behavior, it's about the academics too. And we've had 4 students grow in NWA this year, and that is just, I mean, small wins are students coming to school and just being in school, but she's actually having academic growth, so her and her team have done an amazing job, and I couldn't be more proud of what they've done. Have any questions about CrossCast?
Cool. Again, we're meeting kids where they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fantastic.
Thank you. And the last one, we're just going to end on a high note. As you know, we just finished our first year of VIMI. We had our math bot excitement at the end, and we have 2 teachers, Mrs. Boyd and Mrs. Hafner. You'll stand up. I remember a conversation with Tammy in this room about math fluency and the importance of it and how we needed to maintain that as we move forward with VIMI. And I think that's just a testament that they did a wonderful job. I think Fayette County has done an amazing job overall. We also have Eastview representing. So out of all of those classes, I couldn't be more proud of our math accomplishments this year.
Can you tell me what the VIMI Math Bot competition is?
It is math fluency.
Oh, okay.
You guys.
It's multiplication and division, so each student has to progress through 8 levels of multiplication and division facts, and they get certain points for how fast or how correct they do it, and then at the end, those are total. So that competition is all of the VIMI schools that use VIMI. So this is schools, different counties, different districts, and Fayette County took the places 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. So.
And it was only one day, so if your school was doing something different, like there might have been some, outliers there, but yes, it was only during certain one day, but.
That's great. That's really great.
Very cool. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for
Thank
letting us.
you.
We have some celebrations for our team.
Yay.
We appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I so move.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda. Approval of the minutes from the regular business meeting of April 14th, 2026. A personnel report, recommendations for employment, retirements, resignations, leaves of absence. Approval of the April claims, 73438 to 73679. Donations, a donation in the form of a grant totaling $2,419.20 from the Fayette County Community Foundation to Grandview Elementary, specifically for the use of purchasing trikes for outdoor play.
No, just the whole section.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? May I have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Good vote. Action items. Request to name school facility.
Thank you, Madam President. For your consideration this evening, Board, we talked last month, I brought to you for consideration a first reading to name our new baseball diamond after Mark Beard, the Mark Beard Field. I have before you that recommendation for a second reading, that this would cement this and name the field after the late Mr. Mark Beard, a longtime teacher, board member, coach here at the Fayette County School Corporation, a dear friend of mine. Certainly, it's been through the process of nomination, submission by community members, also letters of support and endorsement from members of the community as well. We did put a team together of individuals of various buildings within the corporation, but also outside of the corporation as well. That was led by Dr. Jim Summers, who is our COO. That committee did determine this to be the best path forward, brought that back to me, that I'm bringing it to you, of course. Brought to you last month for first reading and this month for second reading. So, for your consideration, my recommendation to approve naming our baseball field after Mr. Mark Beard, the Mark Beard Field.
May I have a motion to name the school facility?
Madam President, I would be honored to make a motion for this request.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Recommendation to approve early dismissal Mondays at CMS for the 2026 through 2027 school year.
Yeah, you have in your packet a letter from Dr. Brian Todd requesting this change. If you recall, the middle school has not been on the early dismissal schedule, one Monday, the first Monday of each month, because they've always had a shared teaming time built into their calendar. I will bring before you for discussion here in a bit some changes there to the teaming schedule that are going to remove that shared teaming time. Teaming won't go away. We'll talk about that in a moment. It's just going to change some things in regards to that shared prep time. So therefore, our middle school then has that need and desire to have the extra time together to do some planning. And so therefore, my recommendation is to approve that early dismissal Monday for CMS starting next school year as we do the rest of our buildings. It actually will make transportation easier for Darrell because right now it's a puzzle. Now everything will just shift together, if that makes sense, back to an early dismissal time. So.
May I have a motion to approve early dismissal Mondays at CMS for the 2026-2027 school year?
I so move.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
This is a great hybrid. It solves a lot of problems.
Thank you.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries to approve early dismissal Mondays at CMS for the 2026-2027 school year. Recommendations to approve participant agreement of the East Central Indiana Natural Gas Cooperative.
So you have before you that recommendation to approve Fayette County School Corporation as a participant in that natural gas cooperative. This wouldn't change anything as far as our service of natural gas. It essentially just puts us in a pool of other school corporations that gives us more buying power. And so I've shared with you numbers of what we could have potentially saved had we been part of the cooperative. So essentially the last 4 years since 2023 to year-to-date 2026, we would have saved about $61,000 if we were part of the cooperative for the very same service, the very same everything. We just save money being part of the co-op. And so there could be years where we don't because we have service fees or fees associated with being part of the co-op, but the vast majority of time I do believe that we'll save money and considerable amount of money as well. So my recommendation to make that move and to be part of that East Central Indiana Natural Gas Cooperative as presented.
May I have a motion to approve the participant agreement of the East Central Indiana Natural Gas Cooperative?
I'll make that motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries to approve the East Central Indiana Natural Gas Cooperative. Recommendations to approve Eastview construction bids.
Yeah, so Victor's here tonight from Skillman, and so I put before you for consideration a recommendation to approve those Eastview construction bids. I will hand things off to Victor to talk through those bids and what Skillman's recommendation is for you as a board.
Thank you, Superintendent, appreciate it. Well, you have before you a recommendation from Skillman to recommend bids. I want to comment on a couple things. One is we were very pleased on the participation. I think we had 21 bids in 6 categories. That's normally when we get over 3, an average of 3, we nail our budget. And so, 3.5, guess what the results were as we predicted. You'll see a lot of familiar faces. I believe 5 of the 6 or 4 of the 5 that are recommending tonight were worked on the Frazee project or the Connersville High School project. So that tells me that they enjoyed working with you and us and Gibraltar. So that's good news. And also we had good competition. You see in some of the categories we had 6 bids, like roofing and 5, I think, in mechanics or in general trade. So that's all good. I think I have to admit that it's more difficult to get bidders to come to Connersville than in other parts of the state because travel distance, access to labor, those kind of things. So we were very pleased with participation.
Absolutely.
I wanted to comment that one of the strategies of bidding the project is we created a couple alternates. One of them we're going to recommend tonight. The other was roofing. It was a little bit of an exploratory exercise to see how the specifications by Gibraltar would compare to the market. We've decided that we're going not to recommend that bid, not because we didn't have good bids, but because we're going to take a look at the specifications and modify the specifications and rebid the project. And so we think by that rebidding will most likely reduce the cost significantly, and we'd like to encourage some local bidders to participate in that rebid. So that is absent our recommendation, but because we came in so far under budget, we feel real comfortable that with the roof bid, which was an alternate, you always have the choice not to accept that. I do want to be clear that there is a base bid component of the project that we have to do, which is the roof to the new addition. The re-roofing of the existing building is still subject to the bids, but because the bids came in so well, I believe that we're going to recommend the entire project. I'm predicting that we should be in a position
And
to
we would, of
recommend.
course, want the same contractor to do both those.
And we want the continuity of doing both. So here's the opportunity that you've budgeted for the project, and you have an opportunity while we're out there to do that within the project. One other detail I want to point out, that roofing alternate also included replacing some rooftop mechanical equipment and replacing roof drains. This recommendation includes that work. So while you're up there redoing the roof, go ahead and take care of the exhaust fans, go take care of the roof drains, some other rooftop equipment. So that is included in the recommendation tonight. We plan to immediately reissue and rebid the roofing. I'd like to get to your next board meeting, but if we don't, we'll definitely hit the second one. I want to make sure we have adequate time for bidding. So that schedule's yet to be finalized. But again, the total recommendation for the 5 of the 6 bids is $7.5 million, $7,532,569 to be precise. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Victor, can you remind the board exactly what your previous estimate was?
We were shooting for $8 million, $8,019,000, and that's because there is some contingency built into this. Our estimate was actually 7.8, so there's some dollars built into the bids to take care of unforeseen situations. We did that on the previous bids. So there's some money in there that if we don't use it all, it comes back to you. So I want to be clear. We were targeting $8 million, but came in just under 7.5.
That doesn't include the roof. Did the
That's
original number include the roof?
The base bid number it did. Yeah,
Okay.
there's about a $60,000 or $70,000 for base bid.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Base bid's relatively small, $60,000, $70,000 versus the alternate, which was, we had estimated about a little over 700. The low bid came in well under that. We think we're going to be even farther under that.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
of course, all well within your overall approved budget, but even, I think we're going to be very close to your goal of being 10 million or less on the overall project.
That's great news.
Yeah.
Okay. Questions for Victor?
Was there not a warranty that can go towards that?
You mean the previous roof? Yeah, we've had that discussion,
And I can't
and that has been
remember.
part of the discussion whether or not we replace that roof. It's still got a year left, I think, under warranty. But, so that has been discussion. But by the time that comes to fruition, I'm guessing that that roof's gonna be out of warranty by that point in time, so.
And there's no way to contact them and see?
There are things you can do as a Band-Aid to extend the life of a roof, certainly. We've actually had those conversations as well. And they're cheaper options, right? Significantly cheaper in some sense, but obviously you're not gonna get the same bang for your buck in terms of the lifespan of the roof. Darryl, you wanna speak to that at all?
Yeah, I agree. We've talked to a couple of people, I mean, by the time the warranty gets here, do you want to put a $10 million project under what's left of about half a year of warranty, you know? So, I mean, you're better off to start your top down and be safer.
Yeah. And so the fact that the bids came in so low, I think we have that latitude, which is good. Still be under the threshold that you've asked us to stay under. But at the same time, if the bids come back and we're still not happy, we don't have to accept those. We do need to accept the base bid roof.
Yes, we do.
We have to put a roof over the new part of the building, right? There's no question, but we can get to that point and make that decision later, Sasha. So, yeah, good question. Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just hoping they would lump it all together, the old company.
When you
Because they
say
were
you'll,
local, right?
so you're gonna go local next time, is that your goal to do?
So the local contractor that we were hoping would bid the project prefers a different type of product. We've gone back to Gibraltar, and we've investigated that product. You have a long history with that product, so we're changing the product to something
Got it.
similar to what you have. It's really a pretty subtle difference, but there is a pretty good cost savings, as I understand.
Okay.
So we're changing the way the roof is designed.
Right.
Yeah, it's really the material. It's the material that you're buying and the kind of material it is. It doesn't, again, it's very subtle difference in our world.
Okay. Victor, thank you.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much, appreciate it.
Do my recommendation to approve those bids as presented.
May I have a motion to approve Eastview construction bids?
Madam President, I'll make that motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Vote carries, approved Eastview construction bid. Recommendation to approve food service management company.
Yeah, so before you, we have a recommendation from Dr. Summers, who is not here this evening, he's out ill, to reward the food service management company contract to Chartwells. We went through the RFP process. This is a pretty stringent process. There's a lot to it. Dr. Summers has worked really hard on it. I think we had 5, maybe 6, I can't remember, food service management companies who put their name in their hat and submitted an RFP to be our service provider. We took those and then had a committee together that used a state-provided rubric from the Indiana Department of Education and scored essentially each one. And then it came back that Chartwells had the highest score of those companies that did submit the RFP. We've had a long-standing relationship with Chartwells. It's been a very solid relationship. They've been very good to us in terms of the fiscal side of the work, but also the product they put out there for kids in terms of food. And so we're excited that to continue that partnership. This is a 5-year agreement. Am I right with that, Rachel?
Yeah.
Tell me if I speak wrong. A 5-year agreement. If you remember in the past, we bring that before you every year to re-up essentially based upon the change in market conditions, prices, things like that. So you'll have a little deviation from year to year in the prices that we pay essentially for our service fees and such. But the base contract that we work for only comes before you every 5 years. That is what we're bringing for you right now. So, okay.
May I have a motion to approve food service management company?
I'll make that motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
This is the first time, 5 years ago, we did not have any other bids. And I'm glad that we had other bids because obviously we got the best one, but just to have the interest, I think is good for everybody because we've just not had that before. And looking out there to see what you provide as to what other companies that do the same thing provide, I think is very helpful for us. So it helps us realize what a really good deal we have.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries, approved for the food service management company.
Congratulations. I do want to give these guys a kudos. We'll talk a little bit about this later, but we had obviously a school day today at Frazee. That was really interesting. And not only did they provide a meal on the run, but they did so right in front of the pool in the hallway. And it was a hot meal. Like it was a normal, you wouldn't have known anything different. So they provided that to our students today. Did an incredible job. And it's great. We still know what tomorrow looks like. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But we do appreciate all that you do. So congratulations. Anything, Rachel?
I just wanted to give a shout out to our team at Frazee. They got almost 300 kids through in 52 minutes. So, and served 3 different choices. So, yeah. So they did a great job. Our team down there was awesome today.
Yeah, they were incredible.
Didn't you also just sign with Union County?
No. Don't speak, not yet.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate you
You
so
guys
much.
always go above and beyond. We appreciate it.
And the
Your
food-
chef made me a special meal at the Difference Makers luncheon, and I always appreciate when you guys do something like that. That's very thoughtful.
You guys have had a long day, so we appreciate you.
Thank you for being here.
Lunch at the CMS Track Invitational, the sandwiches got rave reviews from all the other coaches that were there, so thank you very much. So we usually get something not too creative, and they were very, very impressed with our ciabatta chicken and whatever they were. So they will come back as long as we have the same food, which is really good.
That's awesome.
Good to hear.
Great job, Chef.
Recommendation to approve funding for 4 school grant projects for 2026, 2027.
Yeah, so this is from Tricia Fields. Essentially, it's a recommendation to approve this donation, $4,512 in totality, split up the way that you see listed on your memo. We take that in essentially and we disperse that to those individuals. It's a donation from the Education Fund or Education Foundation, Education Fund, sorry, I want to speak that right. And so that is before you for consideration.
They're trying to find it. It's up by the donation.
Right, it is.
So I apologize. I put it in the wrong spot.
It's fine, that's fine. It's all in our packet here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
May I have a motion to approve the funding for 4 school grant projects for 2026, 2027?
I so moved.
Thank you. May I have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Wonderful. Motion carries to approve the funding for 4 school grant projects for 2026, 2027. Recommendations to approve the 6th through 8th grade boys basketball overnight trip to Indiana Wesleyan for Camp June 10th through the 12th.
Yeah, before you, that recommendation for that basketball camp as listed, you see the sheet there that tells you anything that you need to know about the trip, but it is an overnight trip, so we do ask for your consideration and your approval for that field trip. We'll have another one here, obviously, in a second, just for our 9 and 12 kids. So for your consideration, the recommendation to approve that 6th through 8th grade boys basketball trip is presented.
It's July.
Is there a typo?
Yeah,
it says
it's
June.
mine.
It says June.
Oh, well, the first one says July, the second one says June.
Let's make sure that we note that it will be July.
Well, it's on the paper, actually, no, yeah, on the paper we got,
So the agenda's.
the first one said July and the second one said June, but they're both July?
No.
This is
the second trip.
You're saying the second one is
6th, 7th, and
June.
8th is July. Yeah,
Okay.
and the second one, the 8th, the 9th through the varsity is June.
So this-
Oh, okay, got
So
it.
this is July,
Yep.
and the next one is June.
Yep.
I got you.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Okay, so the 6th through 8th grade trip is July, and the 9th through 12th is June.
Yes.
Okay.
May I have a motion to approve the 6th through 8th grade boys basketball overnight trip to Indiana Wesleyan for July 10th through 12th? May I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried to approve the 6th through 8th grade boys basketball overnight trip. Recommendations to approve the 9th through 12th grade basketball boys overnight trip to Indiana Wesleyan for camp on June 12th through the 14th.
Yeah, same thing there, just older grade levels.
Wonderful. You guys are on it. Any discussion? All in favor? Wonderful. Motion carries to approve the 9th through 12th grade overnight trip. Discussion items, CMS teaming changes.
Yeah, just have a few things to talk about here really quickly that don't require your approval, but I just want to make sure they're before you and that we say them publicly. Dr. Todd and his team have worked really hard at our middle school to talk through some changes to their daily schedule. This is born out of a desire from many of our teachers to have some more instructional time, specifically for remediation and enrichment opportunities as we look at student achievement, ways to move the needle, help kids be better prepared for what's next, the next level. And so his team has come together and they've worked on this for quite some time. We've had discussion with both our building level teams and also at our corporation level, the corporation discussion. But essentially this will be, to Ann's point earlier, almost a hybrid where teams will remain, but that shared prep time will go away and be replaced with this extra instructional time for students. And so I'm excited about the change. I think it's going to be really helpful. But as we mentioned earlier, it will be a loss of some time when those people have the opportunity to work together. So we're going to add back that early dismissal time once a month on those Mondays. So Yeah, that's, I know I've sent you some things, and so you're hopefully in the loop on this, but any questions about that?
I'm gonna say, as a middle school teacher who's been pre-teaming and obviously teaming, getting rid of teaming is not, to my mind, as an educator, is not a good idea. And this seems to be a really good hybrid. We get the
That's
extra
great.
instructional time for the RTI, and by adding in the Monday, the teams still get an opportunity to sit together and plan activities for the kids. And so we kind of get the best of both worlds. It's going to take a little tweaking to figure out exactly how to do it, but I think it's a really good example of a compromise that meets both of our needs, both academically and still keeps the teaming concept, which is so important for the social emotional growth of the kids.
Thank you, Ann. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Removal of one-on-one in grades K through 1.
Yeah, so this is a pretty layered discussion. We've been having lots of talk amongst our faculty, our leadership. You see it locally, but even nationally, the discussion about screen time with students, especially at the younger levels, and what that does, the effect on brain development, the effect on social emotional health, things like that. This really is based upon a core conviction, a deeply held conviction that that in-person education with teachers, hands-on learning, like the project-based learning stuff that we talked about earlier, is really where it's at in terms of helping kids grow and progress and become the young people that we want them to become. I think in many ways, COVID forced a lot of school corporations to jump into the technology world, and maybe that pendulum has swung too far. And so those are the questions that we've been asking ourselves: is have we gone a little too far? And not out of any bad intent, certainly, but we've had a lot of talk about put your money where your mouth is, and if we do believe this is what's best for children, this is a path that we're going to forge and we're going to start chasing. And so we've had this discussion with our teachers, with our admin team, and the word I keep hearing is let's go, like let's do this. And will there be some logistical concerns as we go through this? Sure, right? Because we do have systems that have been built. For example, our progress monitoring tools oftentimes are online, right? So your NWEA testing that we do, some of your ND math testing and such. But I think step one is to say we believe that young children learn best, not on a screen, but in interaction with others and communicating with people, and with a teacher live in classrooms. And I think this is that statement, and I think that statement is an important one for us to make as a school corporation. The next step is to look at screen time within our 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 classrooms and say, do we want to set some standards there? Not that they have to be so rigid that we can't work within them, but to say, here's the recommended screen times that we have at these grade levels. That's our next step, and that's what we're working on right now. But essentially what I wanted to make sure you understood is where we stand. I know I've put this out to you a couple different times, and we've had discussions moving along. I really have heard not a lot of negatives about it at all. It's all been positives, and it's all been, hey, this is where we need to go with our kids. I don't want to say we overuse them at all, our primary grades. Our primary people are really good about it. I think it's more of the statement of this is what we believe in as a school corporation, and this is what we're going to hold true. So.
And that's really, like you said, it's nationally. There have been a lot of articles I've seen regarding the use of devices in schools. So, yeah, I like the fact that we're going to take this step and differentiate ourselves from others in this regard.
Yeah, I'm all for books.
Well, there's a big study out in California that I've been kind of following, and just the amount of screen time that kids get out of the classroom situation, and then you're exposing them to even more screen time in an educational setting, it gets it way out of balance, and it's much easier to balance to limit the educational things than it is what the parent is going to allow the kid to do at school. So,
Could we look into like getting a donation or something for blue light glasses? Because I know
As far as
a
the
lot of
physical
eyes
impact
seem
of
to
eyes,
be-
yeah, certainly could look at that, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. One of the things we're also going to be doing, and Terry's back here, but we're going to make a switch this summer. We're not going to be sending our devices home with our elementary children over the summer. So K-6 kiddos, those devices will stay at school. There's a couple different reasons for that. Obviously, it's easier for us as far as swapping this out and lots of different things, but the reality of it, again, this is another attempt on our behalf to say that we don't believe screen time is what's best for children, that we want our children outside, we want them eating dirt and playing, not literally, but figuratively. We think that's what's best for kids. We believe that. And so we don't want to put those devices in the hands of our kids when they go home over the summer. We're going to keep those here at school.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wonderful. Productive tax waiver.
Yeah, so I put this out to you previously, just an FYI for you, but essentially, obviously, all of us know the impact of SDA 1, what's coming. There are some mechanisms that are built in. The eligible school corporations essentially may apply for a waiver of protected taxes through the DLGF that would allow us to allocate a portion of our circuit breaker losses proportionally across funds, rather than just having those hurt our debt service fund. Okay, so we're going to have some losses, obviously, to the operations account. Some of those are going to hurt our debt service fund because statute hasn't protected those as they have in the past. And then what we can essentially do, as I mentioned, is we can take that, we can allocate those losses, of course, across other funds as well, so that our debt service fund doesn't take as big a hit as what it would have otherwise. I think it's a smart move. It allows us to do that for a year. You're not going to see necessarily any change the back end move for us, just to make sure that we're well positioned and we can make decisions with those impacts, if that makes sense. Okay. Let's see here. Transition to voice. Dr. Summers was going to talk about this, but obviously he's not present. We are in the midst of transitioning to a new finance system. Oh wow, look at that. There's a recommendation. That's not a recommendation, just information. So you have this in your packet, but essentially it's an 8 to 10 month implementation process. There is an overlap period of time, a substantial overlap period of time. When we get done with this rollover, essentially we're going to save money, which is a good thing. But about 65% of Indiana schools are using voice currently. Voice is they're the major player in the game, if you will. Their products are easy to use, they integrate well with our state systems. They're local, they're actually located in downtown Muncie, is where their corporate office is and where they work from. It's going to be a really, really good change. I went through this change in my previous district. It was a really, really good thing for our corporation. The reporting features, the online work, getting rid of so much of the physical paper, I think is going to be really helpful for us as well. But just wanted you to be in the loop on that we're going to start that sometime in the fall of 26, early, possibly spring of 27. So. All right, let's see, A through F. All right, I don't want to, I know it's past 8 here, I'm not going to keep you, don't want to keep you too long, but I do feel like, I was like, okay. I do feel like I need to put before you what the new Indiana A through F accountability model looks like. Mostly in theory rather than getting into the weeds too far, okay? Let me start by saying this. I think it's a good change. Okay, if we have to have A through F, which the state legislative session said we have to, then I think this is a good compromise, right? That's fair. If we know anything about A through F previously, A through F was often an indicator of socioeconomic status, more so than it was the success or failure of a school. This, I think, levels the playing field a little bit because it brings some other things into play. So, it can get to be a little bit confusing. I'm going to try to make it as easy as I possibly can. Kim, please stop me and fix it if I mess up. But essentially, every single student, whether they be in grades kindergarten or grade 12, will have two ways of determining their success throughout the course of their year, right? Academic mastery, which is measured differently at every grade level, and then student success indicators, which are those other things that I think are the helpers that are good and help level that playing field, okay? So every student will gain points, right? Those student success indicators are lots of different things. You see them on the right. Attendance, huge. We'll talk about that in a moment. Science and social studies proficiency. That test really, honestly, never in the past held any weight. Now it does. Growth. Awesome, right? Because we want kids, even if they don't reach the bar that's been set by the state, if they're growing, that's a good thing. High school coursework, that's in middle school. That's an interesting one. So the state is actually now pushing us to have more high school level coursework within our middle school building. And so we're already taking some steps on that. CTE coursework completion, advanced coursework, so those classes that are part of our early college at Spartan University, workplace learning opportunities for students, credentials of value, that kids earn at the end of their career here, and many other things. So those SSIs are really important. I do want to say, this attendance piece is huge because every single grade level will have attendance as an SSI. You'll see what that means here in a minute. But even if a kiddo doesn't achieve passing on their iLearn assessment or whatever assessment they're giving on the academic portion, right, they can still earn points, right, based upon these SSIs. And like I said, every single grade level has attendance. Why? Because attendance matters. And we know that, right? I mean, studies have shown us that if kids are in attendance, right, they do better in school. They achieve more, right? They're better prepared for the future. 10 days equals 94% attendance, which is always our goal. We're gonna work really hard next year to put out there 8 days as the goal for our students, right? To give us a little bit of flex. I will say, these 8 days, or the 10 days, are for whatever reason, other than the exempt categories the state gives us, like serving as a page in assembly, the state fair, like things like that, right? That are exempt, which means essentially you're not there, but you're considered there. But anything else, the state doesn't care if it's excused or unexcused. If a parent calls or doesn't call. If you have a doctor's note or don't have a doctor's note, right? Because the reality of it is, let's be honest, if I had a doctor's note for 47 days of a school year, I've missed a lot of instruction. And that matters, right? We have mechanisms built in for those kids who do need that medical necessity to miss more days. Because there are kids that are medically fragile, we understand that. But for most of our children, that 8-day threshold we're really pushing for, 10 days at the most, because if they do that, they're going to be better prepared for success. And I want you to hear that from me. As a superintendent, all the things I'm talking about, obviously they're good because they help us from A through F standpoint, but honestly, the most important thing is that they're better for kids, right? And so that's what's most important. We start with K-8 kids. So K-8 kiddos will have 2 scores, right? They're each going to have a math score and a language arts score, right? As their base academic, right? And we add to that the student success indicators, okay? So what does that look like in K-3? Well, that looks like academic on the left-hand side, ELA and math, right? Okay. On the right, those are their student success indicators, their SSIs, okay? So reading proficiency, I read. Important? Absolutely. Accelerated literacy based on I read. Regular school attendance, you guys see that? Okay, you'll see it in every grade level. And then EL for EL kiddos. There's not a lot there, right? So that's where we are. So what does that mean? This is where it gets to be in the weeds a little bit, but I want you to have kind of at least a basic understanding of how this works. So if I'm a 3rd grade student, right, and I score at or above proficiency, you guys see that 75 up there in the top left-hand corner. If I score a 75, I automatically, because I'm at or above proficiency, have scored 75 points towards that letter grade for the school corporation. Make sense? And for the school. If I then pass I read as well, then I've scored 95 points. Here's what's really interesting about 3rd grade. 3rd grade, if I don't pass I read 3, I bounce back. I can't get any more than that first column. Okay? So it doesn't matter if I was at or above proficiency, if I was approaching, if I was below, if I don't pass I read 3, I don't move past that middle column. Make sense? It's important. And then finally, the 3rd column is your SSIs. So if I'm at or above, I get 75. If I pass I read 3, I get 95. And then if I have 94% or higher attendance, then I've just gotten 100 points, right? For language arts or math. Okay? Does this make sense? I know it's a lot, okay? So, if I move on here, I'm going to go through some of this pretty quickly because I don't want to keep you all night. This is 4 through 6, right? So you have ELA math, right? Your academic side. And then you have your SSIs, your student success indicators. So we have adolescent reading proficient, IRE3, still there. Why? The people that we've talked to say, Dr. Ginger loves IRE. But now we see science proficiency, we see social studies proficiency. That's awesome, right? Our kids take those tests. So our 5th grade students take that science assessment. Our 4th grade kids, it's a 4th and 6th, Kim, that take social studies, take that social studies assessment.
That's brand new.
Yeah. What else is there? Regular school attendance, every single grade level. So if they're 94% attendance or above, they've missed less than 10 days essentially, then they're there. Acceleration in academic progress, more than 1 year of academic growth and progress. So if they grow, they get you an SSI as well. That's what we're after, right? Why was it not in 3rd grade? Because they're not tested before 3rd grade. They can't show growth, right? And so if I move on, we see the same kind of example, right? We see the left-hand column is the base, right? That's the academic. So they're at or above proficiency, 75, approaching 45, below 0. But if I get 1 SSI, right? So my attendance is good, right? I go automatically move to that column, right? If I pass science or social studies, I move to that column, and so on and so forth. And I can move all the way over. If I get 3 of those success indicators, then I've got in my school, 100 points, 95 or 75. So a kiddo could, still struggle on I Learn, right? They're growing, they gain points, they had good attendance, they did other things that were really well, right? And so I think that's the leveler, right? Which I think is really good. Are you getting the gist for how it works, I hope? Let me go through 7, 8 just really quickly. So same thing, but then the SSIs change a little bit. You have 1 year of academic progress, okay? Acceleration in academic progress, more than 1 year of progress. Excellence in academic progress, which is growth to proficiency based on I Learn. So growth is important, right? Regular school attendance, again, 94% or above. Completion of a graduation plan. So as we talk as a group, like what are the low-hanging fruits that we can take care of? So guess what all of our 7th grade kids are doing this year? They're gonna have a graduation plan. We're gonna make sure that's done. Because, this is important, next year is year 0, where the grade, quote unquote, doesn't matter, right? But we will get a grade. And I think it's important for all of you to understand, and for people in the community to understand, is that we didn't know what the target was, right? We're shooting for academic progress, all of those things, but this literally was just signed by the Lieutenant Governor, I think, or who signed off on it? Was it Attorney General? I can't remember. Anyway, last week, right? So this is brand new. So we're playing by rules that we didn't know were rules, but we'll still get a grade. So every one of our schools will get a letter grade next year, even though it's year 0.
So even though this is individualized by student, if you have a student that achieves, they can't get more than 100, or can they get more?
They can't.
Oh, they can't.
Yeah, 100 is a cap.
And do they tell you how many points you need for A, B, C? Okay.
Yeah. That'll be at the end. It's an average.
Okay.
Right, so we do
There's
have
no way to calculate for us to
right now,
calculate it.
But we do know right now what that grading scale is.
Okay.
Right? And what the state has said basically is that grading scale, the first year, we're gonna look and see how many people fall into each category. If it's too many people are on one side of the bell curve, they're gonna move that up. Yeah, that's the way it works. We can't let everybody succeed, right? So anyway, SSIs, graduation plan, high school level coursework for credit at the middle school. So you're gonna see that. We're gonna start pushing some of those things in the middle school. We've already had those discussions, that's in the works. And then the EL piece again for our EL students. 9, 10, this is where it gets to be a little bit messy because some of this stuff is difficult to understand. But 9th grade on track to graduate, right, means that our kids have 10 plus high school credits to include 2 math, 2 English, 2 science, social studies, and foreign language by the end of their 9th grade year. Okay, that's not easy. So we're talking about that. So if we have a little bit of high school programming in our middle school, then we essentially kill 2 birds with 1 stone, right? So not only are we getting SSIs when they're in middle school, they're also coming to our high school with a better chance of setting that academic mastery piece on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, you see your SSIs, you see college and career coursework, CTE coursework, proficiency on I Learned Biology. That's new, okay? So guess what our high school kids are doing right now?
Preparing for,
They're taking
they're taking.
I Learned Biology right now. I will tell you that as of 2 weeks ago, Kim,
No, that was government.
or was that government?
We've
Oh, that's
always
government.
taken
We've always
I
done
Learned
biology. I'm sorry.
yes.
I misspoke. We'll talk about that in a moment. That's government. Met their benchmark on a PSAT, regular school attendance again, 94%, and that ELP is
Do our ninth graders take the PSAT? I thought that was a sophomore, 10th grade.
10th grade, but you can take, some schools do give it to ninth
So
grade.
will we offer that since we want those kids to have it?
Could.
This was the ninth and 10th grade grade band, so.
I know, I'm just saying, so a ninth grader comes in, they're not eligible to go to Career Center yet, right?
Right, but there's other ways to accomplish that, like we're gonna move a principal's class down to 8th grade, and every
Okay.
8th grader's gonna take a principal's class, so that'll be a CTE course, and they'll come in with that.
Okay.
So there's different ways to get to that end goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
So you
being
see,
creative.
yeah, so you see again, the left-hand column is that base, the academic base, and then we move up, obviously, with each SSI that students receive. Okay, same thing.
Who's doing all this calculating?
Great question. You mean locally or at the state level?
Locally. Like who, are the counselors gonna be responsible to make sure that kids have this, and then I mean, are we doing a calculation on our own level per student?
There's not necessarily a way for us to figure that out yet. There's ways for us to determine if we can get children extra points, but there's no way to sit there and mathematically figure out where we're gonna fall.
Right, but I mean to encourage students, hey, you
Oh,
should take
absolutely.
this because.
We're starting with that. We're starting with that graduation plan at 7th grade. We're having meetings with middle school and high school of how we can kind of share the load of getting those credits so that by the time they end as freshmen. So there's strategic ways to meet those, but I thought you meant like how you can figure out the actual grade.
No, I just meant
Yeah, no,
the
there's
work
a lot of
involved and-
counseling, a lot of
Yes.
administration that's gonna have to do a lot of
Extra
good
work.
record keeping.
Okay, this gets to be a little bit, I'll be honest with you, I don't have a great understanding of this yet. I'm still working my way through it. Again, this is all brand new, right? And so you'll see the key outcomes and additional knowledge, skills, and experiences listed below will make up 80% of the school's grade 12 letter grade in alignment with federal accountability requirements. The remaining 20% is calculated based on the school's graduation rate, okay? And the percentage of students achieving proficiency on the SAT. So that's 20%, those two things. So you see on the left-hand side, diploma only, honors seal or honors plus seal. So that's the academic side. Did they receive the diploma? Okay? If they get that, we're good, right? And then you go to the SSIs, which are work-based learning opportunities for kids, credentials of value that they graduate with, college and career coursework, proficiency on I Learn, U.S. government, that's what Kim was talking about.
Yeah.
That is the assessment we've never given before. I'll be honest, we scrambled to put that together to give it, right?
Jeremy did it in 24 hours.
What's that?
Jeremy Horn made it happen in 24 hours.
He was incredible.
So kudos to him.
Right? Because again, we're gonna get a grade in year 0, right? So we want our kids to have the best chance for success possible. Regular school attendance, again, every single grade level, 94%. Proficiency on I Learn Biology, CA, meet English benchmark on the ACT or the CLT, meet math benchmark on the ACT, and then meeting those EL goals again. So I wanna show you really quickly the grading scale, so to speak. So that talks through, there you go. So you see the bottom, it says to ensure rigor, if 25% of schools earn an A, the grading scale will increase by 2.5 points. This can occur twice before the scale reaches the final grading scale of 90 to 100. So currently, the initial grading scale is the 85 to 100. And that's an average, that's my understanding. They take all the students, right? Every single kid in the elementary grade is gonna get 2, right? ELA and math, remember that?
And
Out of 100, we're gonna take all those, we're essentially gonna divide by the number of students, the number of grades, or the number of scores, and then get a grade for each building, and then do the same thing for the corporation as well. So again, next year, year 0, we'll receive a grade for year 0. And then from there, obviously, we'll be better prepared for success on this. But I feel pretty good about where we're at. I feel good about the conversations we've had. Obviously, doing some really good things in terms of advanced coursework and some of the stuff that's already in place. But I do want to reiterate again, like we're going to chase what's best for kids. And there are ways that we can be smarter about the work and check boxes and things like that. But I'm not a big, hey, we're going to jump through a hoop just because it's what the state asks us to do. I don't mean to send this on district. We're going to chase after what's best for students, and we'll continue to do that. But yeah, I just wanted you to have a rudimentary understanding of it. That was very quick. So we had a trainer here a week or two ago. Former principal just retired from principalship up in Bluffton. Great presenter. He's going to be with us also this next year, the first of the school year, to have this same type of meeting with all of our elementary teachers, all of our middle school teachers, all of our high school teachers in 3 different sessions, just so they know exactly what's going on.
Do we have any clue of the developmental appropriateness of the assessments that are being given? Because that's been a huge issue, particularly at the elementary school, when we're, particularly with iRead, you know, now second graders have to pass essentially a 3rd grade test, and if they don't, there are consequences. Are there punitive elements involved in this for the student? I mean, clearly there are for the schools, because if you get a bad grade, you don't get money and you get all kinds of stuff like that. But is there that punitive kind of thing that's built in for the student also, as far as, you know, you don't pass this, like the 3rd graders that are very, very upset because they have to go to, 2nd graders that are very upset because they have to go to summer school because they didn't pass iRead. To a 7-year-old, this is punishment. And that's my real issue with this, is when we are in the environment that we are with kids having difficulty with school anyway, and Krista's and Mia's program and what she and Bobby are doing a wonderful job. But something like this, if misapplied, could undo all of that in a heartbeat. And that's, you know, is there this punitive thing from the state? You're an F school. What does that mean? You know, an F for Carmel is not the same as an F school for Connersville, because you're dealing with a totally different population. I agree that it's better than it was, but it still is really too much focused on where the socioeconomics are on any given group of kids. And how does this translate? You've got a kid going into high school that, you know, is already made to feel like they're inferior. What do we do? I
Doesn't
get
sound like there's a punitive part for the student, but I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I sure hope the legislature in their infinite wisdom decides to also provide schools with a little more money, because this is going to take a lot more work from everybody, teachers, administrators, and counselors.
Yeah.
But I agree with you, Ann. It's just, you know, and I'm not opposed. I'm sure we have plenty of middle schoolers that can do high school work, but boy, we just push kids so hard. We, you know, starting in kindergarten, and, you know, 2nd graders have to pass iRead. Now in middle school, you have to have a high school class. And I'm not saying that that's not great for some of our kiddos.
Sure.
I'm just saying, push, push, push.
It's the developmental inappropriateness, particularly when you get with the 2nd and 3rd graders, and then with all my years in middle school, there's such a huge gap developmentally. That if you read the research on how their brains work, they're just not there yet, and yet we're punishing them for not being developmentally where they'll get there, but just not on that time frame. And this kind of built-in thing is when people who do not understand education make policies about education.
Will the high school work and middle school count towards their high school?
It does.
Yes, I
it
know
does.
on like
Yeah.
that core 40, it said the math credits
If you take algebra.
of 6 have to be taken during high school. So I didn't know it.
There's certain courses that the DOE approves for kids to take at the middle school level. And a lot of that is the developmental appropriateness of that course and where it fits into the skill sequence. So there are some courses that are, as long as there's a licensed teacher in that area teaching it, that they can receive high school credit for it.
We've always done that for years with algebra. We had 8th graders taking algebra, and they got the high school credit for it because they entered high school then taking geometry. Yeah, so that's.
Been on the Core 40, even though it says those credits have to be taken during high school.
So Core 40 will be a thing in the
I
past.
know,
Yeah, so-
I don't know what's on the,
Yeah.
I just know Core
And I'd
40.
have to think into that as far as the new diploma and what that looks like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, algebra credit taken in middle school does count.
Yeah,
towards
and
your
it's
high
pretty
school.
common. Most middle schools have at least 3 or 4 courses that they offer for high school credit as 8th graders. It's kind of, they call it the honors track.
That's what I was thinking, and I've been looking at my child's thing, and I saw that, so then I started looking at all this thinking.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, thank you guys. Item F is school board policy, first reading for updated policies. These are our update based upon the most recent legislative session. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. You have them in your inbox and also in your Google Drive that you can take a look at. I know you have in your inbox the actual red line versions, which might be helpful for you. These are, I believe you have just a regular finished version, so if you want to see the red line versions, you're welcome to look at those. A200 firearms, weapons, and destructive devices adds new language from HEA 1343 on imitation firearms, essentially treating imitation firearms as if they're real firearms, and so I think that's an important change. A275 school wellness updates have been made regarding training requirements, drinking water, and fundraisers from new Indiana Department of Health guidance. A300 is an interesting one, updates the policy based upon HEA 1004 that allows parents the opportunity to increase the strength of filters or block access to certain websites on their school-issued devices. We do use a program called Lightspeed. Lightspeed does already have that capability, so we're well positioned to be able to meet that statutory requirement. But this policy is being revised to make sure that it states that opportunity will be allowed or provided to parents who request that access. A301 is a big one. This is the wireless communication device policy that we're required to have based upon SCA 78 that strictly prohibits the use of wireless communication devices during the school day. This includes cell phones. It also includes smart watches, smart glasses, any type of personal communication device that a student may have. The statute is very clear that you either have to have a secured storage policy or a no device policy. We have had lots of meetings, lots of discussions. Secured storage policy is the direction that we plan to go. That secured storage policy will come to fruition within our buildings essentially by asking students to put their cell phones in their lockers. That is already practiced within our middle school building. That will become practice within our high school building next year. They cannot have their phones on their person. That is not considered to be secured storage as the state defines it. Sasha?
Are we gonna add the energy drink thing to this?
To the wellness policy?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, if you guys want to
Something
consider that.
Yeah, that's like energy drinks, but not classified as energy drinks.
Yeah, so currently, our policy, our wellness policy does align with USDA guidance, any of the health department guidance in regards to what types of drinks are allowed to be sold during the school day or in school dispensers, if you will. There was concern that was brought up that I think it was a Mountain Dew Kickstart drink.
Kickstart, they're classifying them
That
as
was
something else
of
now.
concern. I don't know. I think the best course of action, maybe to take that before our wellness committee, have them chew on that and bring a recommendation to the board. I think that feels right. That group has been set up for that purpose to really review that. And I know you guys reviewed, I think Leslie's part of that, reviewed that policy last year, if I'm not
We
mistaken.
did, but we have not met this semester.
Okay.
I mean, we just meet once a year, but I can't remember if it was like in the fall, so.
It was in the fall.
So are you comfortable with that, Sasha?
You want us to you want the wellness committee to review that in the fall next year?
Well, either that or we can, it'd be hard to get a meeting in at this point in time.
Right,
before the end
right,
of the year.
right.
So maybe fall is the best time to do it.
And then redo the policy if that's what they.
Rachel, do you have any insight on that?
So yeah, I was just talking to them. So Kickstarts are no longer allowable under the USDA. So we no longer sell them in the lunchroom, so
There's your answer.
therefore the
Know what to do now.
vending machines are no longer allowed to sell.
Okay.
The response I got from our,
It's the size, so they've changed, so the volume on them are a little bit bigger. So Pepsi, the ones that Pepsi now offers, and so they no longer meet the qualifications, so.
this is what we were told when we asked our Pepsi rep, but then we reached out again last week and said, what's the status? I did look today in our machines when I was at the high school with Frazie's kids, and there were those drinks still in there, so.
They shouldn't only, the vending machines at the elementary should only be on for adults though?
No, I'm talking, when we were at the high school for the Frazee kids, yeah, no, not at Frazee, yeah.
Okay, oh my God.
So it sounds like it may take care of itself, Sasha, and if not, we'll, just keep a pulse on that and
Address
let us
that in
know, and
the fall.
Leslie can take that to the
Yeah.
the committee in the fall, if you're okay with that. But I didn't, that Pepsi rep never got back to me when I sent that last email. I think I included it on that, so. Okay, so wireless communication device, big deal, working through that. I just want the public to know, this is not, we feel like our policies right now are working pretty well. This was not necessarily an ask that we had. We do believe that cell phones can be a distraction to the educational process. I'm a little worried about the policing of this and how it's gonna work out, but I do think it will make a big difference in our classroom as far as attentiveness of students and cut down on some of our issues, but I do have some concerns still. But that secured storage device policy is what we're going with, and we'll use our lockers for that purpose. C-175 has added some exempted categories for absences related to active duty service and participation in the Civil Air Patrol. Medical News of Students, C-525, did make some updates regarding the use of AEDs under HCA 1004. Essentially, it's asked that we have an emergency plan related to those AEDs, which we actually already have in place. So Shane Russell and I talked about this last week. D475R is actually not brought before you, so sorry, I read that, but I shouldn't have, because that's actually an administrative guideline. F101, budget adoption and implementation, new policy stemming from recent interaction with the Stress Unit Appeals Board. Nothing major there. That's really Jim and Tina's purview. Our F125 purchasing procedures and capital assets adds language on prohibited contract provisions from SCA 200, adds language on purchasing services. G325 for reduced price meals, honestly, is a very minor change related to protection of privacy for students. H125 support organizations, corporation support organizations, updated to make explicit that school corporations are not responsible for the finances of approved organizations. I do have an email out to our attorneys to check on that to see, because one of the discussions we had is we've had some issues in the past with PTOs or booster clubs and missing money, things like that. And so I have asked as a superintendent, as an internal control measure, that our principals or our directors, they review those accounts on a quarterly basis. I think that's an important thing. If they're going to use our name, image, likeness, our logos, our students to fundraise, all of those things, I think we should have some oversight of that. Their books are not on our books, right, by State Board of Accounts expectations. They have separate accounts, dual signers, all of those things. But I'm curious as to whether or not this limits us from our end on seeing those things. I'm hopeful it absolves us of any issues when they mess up, and it still allows us the opportunity to have that oversight. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm getting some clarification on that. I'll have that for you.
Then also we brought up the issue of bonding for the treasurers, for those.
Could that be an expectation?
Should that be an expectation? So both sides are protected.
Yeah, and I don't have a lot of patience for people that take money from kids. I just don't. And I don't make any apologies for that. I think it's really disappointing when that happens. H-150 public records, there have been some changes. Lots of data scraping going on right now with third parties who are essentially requesting data from us for the purpose of doing things that aren't great, selling the data essentially, or using it for purposes. And so this gives us the opportunity to deny some of those requests as they come in, because we get a lot of them, honestly. So, so that's first reading of those new policies based upon those statutory changes, legislative updates.
Public comments, a person, we're not doing this. ISBA report.
So the big thing is that candidate filing window for school board races opens May 19th. It runs through June 18th. I want to give a little explanation for the public. I think the board is well aware, but the public may not be. if you're considering running for school board, first of all, you can go to the Indiana School Board Association website, and they have, I believe, 5 webinars, 5 different times, not, you have to take 5. You can take a webinar and it's offered 5 different times. You can do it from home. That tells you about what school board service is all about. And I encourage anybody who's thinking of running for school board to watch the webinar, and it'll really inform you as to what actually happens in a school board meeting and as a school board member. Last year at the, or maybe it was last year at the legislature, or was it this spring, when they made partisan elections?
July 1, it became
Yeah,
partisan.
right. So what the public should know is any entity that uses government money is political by nature. That word political is defined as anybody that receives government money. So we are a political entity, but we are not a partisan entity. Indiana School Board Association did not support the legislation to make school board positions partisan. However, it passed. If somebody is considering, when you see the ballot in November, it will list the part, you can choose to run from a party, you can choose to run nonpartisan. If you run from a party, it will be in the order of the party. So it will probably be Republican, anybody running, Democrat, anybody running, and then underneath that will be nonpartisan candidates. You cannot go to straight party ticket and vote for a school board candidate. You have to do that as a separate selection. Anybody who's voted knows that last page of your ballot includes school board elections, often questions about judges, any other questions that are brought forth for voting. If a person chooses to run under a party, something you need to know is that if for some reason you have to resign from your position, this body does not get a choice in the application of new members. That is left to the party. And that is probably where the Indiana School Board Association feels the most strong about, because we like local control. We believe that this body is the best body to determine, because we're here as board members. So, you know, when Jared applied, there was a process. He had to fill out an application. I think we had 5 people that applied. We got to interview those people. They're serving in this body, and we feel that's important for us to make that decision. Also, if several candidates run and they choose to run under a particular party, the party can endorse one of those candidates. They could endorse more. Some people in Indianapolis are very concerned because the parties there are going to endorse one school board candidate. So if you are another person or 2 other people running in that party, but the party doesn't endorse you, that also can create problems. So just be wary or be aware of what it entails. And this is not a slam on the political parties, but one, I would say that the work we do in this room, and you can, anybody in the public can ask any board member, have you ever felt that somebody on the board made a decision related to a political party? I can say from this board, in my experience, I would never think that any decision, any opinion anybody's had has come from a partisan position. And I've served for 12 years, and I can't tell you, and whether I know somebody's party or not, I can't think of a single decision that had anything to do with partisanship. We are here for kids, and that's how our decision making is made. So we also have switched this year to a different method of districts, or we're residential now, or we're, yes, instead of electoral. So we have 3 seats that are for re-election. Jennings Township, basically, right, is the appointed district.
Mine's Waterloo. Mine's really weird.
Okay. Do you know your district number?
4.
Okay. And then I know Chris is running again, and Jared is running, and those are 2 Connersville districts. Somebody can run in the same district as Ann, but all the voters in Fayette County get to vote for one of them. And that's what's different. It used to be that just people that resided in her district could vote for her. Now anybody can vote. So that's new for the voters to know too. You're going to see names on your ballot that you haven't seen before. That if it's an incumbent that's running, oh, I never knew I could vote, I couldn't vote for them before, now they can. So that's a plus. I mean, we chose that as an option, so we wanted to have that availability for the
And
public.
also, to make that change, there were less than 15% of the school board districts in Indiana that were still
Electoral districts.
Were still electoral districts. So this is the way that elected boards, and there's still some appointed boards in Indiana also. So this is the common way that elected boards have done things for a number of years. And so, but some people run everybody at large. We chose not to do that because it gives the person that lives there. You're somebody that's local. There's somebody that's representing all the parts of the city and town. So.
Also, if you're going to choose a political party, you have to have voted in the last 2 primaries in that party. You can't claim a party unless you've voted in that party the last 2 primaries. So that's also, a lot of people don't vote in the primaries, so they'll be running nonpartisan. I think that's it, but I just wanted to explain that because filing period is coming right up. So.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Leslie. Very well stated.
Principals, directors report. Director of Operations.
Just really quickly, I'll speak on behalf of Dr. Summers. He's not here this evening, but because of his absence, obviously the last 2 days, you didn't receive everything you typically do. Dr. Summers will get that to you the next couple of days, so I apologize for that.
No problem. Assistant Superintendent report.
I just want to make sure that you're aware that the summer school teachers were included as an attachment on the personnel report. As usual, we have a list of teachers that have agreed to teach summer school, but again, it'll be based on attendance, so we have to have 15 students, so we may or may not need all of them. We're in the process of doing our second round of I-Read testing to determine who has to go. We're hopefully finishing up at the end of this week, and then we'll know specifically what numbers we have and how many teachers we need. But I want to make sure that you realize that approval is on the back of the personnel.
Where is it going to be?
It's going to be at Grandview. It starts June 1st and goes through June 25th. And Kristen Day is going to serve as the elementary principal this year.
Superintendent report.
Yeah, just a couple things really quickly. Just want to just say we had a difference maker luncheon this last week. It was a wonderful day to celebrate. I said it at the end of the luncheon. I truly meant it. Like hearing stories of the impact of our people truly makes me humbled and honored to serve here as a superintendent. And I got a little emotional toward the end because I kept thinking, gosh, I just can't believe I've been trusted with such an awesome opportunity. And I mean that. I sincerely. So thank you for the opportunity to lead. But it was a really good day. I know a few of you were there, and it was great to celebrate the good work happening. I do want to give a shout out to our Spartan University. We had our early college celebration this past week. 38 associate's degrees in general studies, 1 associate degree in accounting. I want you to know that that's not normal.
No.
Okay? The work that happens in our early college program, our Spartan University is second to few. Like it's incredible, especially for a school our size. Just shy of $1 million tuition dollars saved. The statistics are staggering. The opportunities that are provided for students are just tremendous. This is a really special group of seniors. I know someone here has a young man that's part of that class. What's that? $2.8 million in scholarships awarded. I mean, they're just a really special group, and you should be really proud of the work that's happening in that program for our kids. And so, job well done. I do want to mention again the Frazee situation. I'm going to run to my office here in just a moment, and we have been texting Daryl a little bit to see if we've had updates. Obviously, we had 4 water main breaks today that were all in the same general area. We didn't know about the first one until buses were pulling up to the school. Wasn't sanitary, obviously, to keep kids there without the ability to flush toilets and wash hands and such. So we do what we do, right? And so we met out in front of the building and we're talking through what our options are. And sending kids home at that point in time is not necessarily the best option because you're probably 50-50 on whether or not you're going to get kids at the household. That's not safe. We don't like that. We don't want to inconvenience families. And so we got on the phone, and Mrs. Flum and her team were incredible. They rolled out the red carpet this morning. Literally, all the administrators were standing outside and waiting on those kids to come, and the day looked way different than normal. But I'm so proud of our staff, our transportation staff. Daryl scrambled to get buses over there to pick kids up. Wasn't the most academic day, but I guarantee you those kids will remember that day for a long time. So with that said though, my understanding is that water has not been fully restored quite yet. They're gonna work through the night. So we're gonna go ahead and push out a delay for just Frazee here as soon as I get done. I'm going straight to my office to do it. Because they've asked us for a little more time in the morning, the city and the folks there. I know doing a delay at one building is hard. I'm hopeful that we're still early enough that people can make the arrangements they need to make. But delaying everybody has ramifications. The last time we did that at Everton, it was late, last minute, like in the morning. We were worried about families and different things. I think we hopefully have enough runway here. Plus the fact that, you know, we've got some things planned at some of our buildings tomorrow that would really impact those things. The Career Center has huge impact every time we delay, and they're at the end of their year.
It's Reality Store tomorrow at the middle school.
There's lots of things that we've talked through as an administrative team, so I'm gonna go make that phone call as soon as we're done, that we will have a delay at Frazee only tomorrow, to give our city more time. I'll be honest with you, if it's not ready in the morning, that means we might have to close Frazee tomorrow. We obviously scrambled today. There is a process to that by which we can apply for another waiver. We've already asked for 3, we've been granted those, so we have a 177-day calendar. Because of the weather and the difficulties this winter, I don't know if they'll give us another day or not. I'm hopeful they will, because I don't want to have to bring kids and teachers back. It would essentially be Memorial Day on a Monday, teacher work day on a Tuesday, bringing kids and teachers back on a Wednesday. I don't want to do that.
At one school only?
Correct. Yeah. Now, I understand fairness, it's 180 days, 185 days for teachers, however you shake it, right? So they get the day off tomorrow if that were the case, which I don't like it either. It just is what it is. None of us asked for the water break today. You just deal with it, right? Do the best you can. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure you knew, and I also wanted to give our people a big shout out because today was one of the days where you leave and you're just proud of your people, and was really proud of our people today. And our kids were great too. They were awesome. They were tremendous. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're going to be ready by about midnight tonight, but they want to go to see the roads in the morning, see what gravel they packed down, and see what they might have missed with some daylight is why they're asking for a little bit of time, which absolutely makes sense.
There was some substantial heaving in the road that happened.
Jeremy
from the
Wilson
water.
from the city has been great at communicating with the mayor both, so.
They've been awesome. We love our people. That's all I have.
For the good of the cause? I just want to mention, I mean, it's a small mention, but I saw that a former secretary at Everton School, Charlotte Stidham, passed away. And she was a gem, and my kid loved her. Other than that, I am just super touched that we're going to have a baseball field named after Mark Beard. And he was a tremendous asset to Fayette County School Corporation. Just want to say that.
We'll beg for no rain so I can set a press box next week.
We're getting closer.
May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second? Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.